Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk, guys. Good to see you again after missing out over the weekend against Atalanta. Um, Not because I forgot or because I dislike you guys, but I was at the stadium. I was at the Maradona. And then you know how it is when you're at the stadium, then you get home late, you meet people outside the stadium, one thing leads to another, and then it's a bit too late to go live. On top of that, guys, I'm a little bit sick. I've been sick the last few days, so I'm gonna keep this one short as well today. So that there's no material as usual uh, prepared. So we're gonna do a bit of a review without the usual screenshots, without the player ratings, just me and you vibing, okay? Speaking about the game, maybe speaking a little bit as well about the Atalanta game. In fact, why don't I start a little bit with my thoughts on the Atalanta game, since I never got the chance um, to speak about it with you guys. So, I went to the stadium, and it's always nice to get a bit of a temperature check, right? And see what the people on the ground are saying, are feeling, and there was clearly a lot of frustration leading up to the game, and then during the game, Hoyland didn't. I don't think he had the best of games, and too many times Milinkovic Savic tried that long pass to Hoyland, and either it was a bad pass or Hoyland couldn't keep the ball. In the end, he managed to get an assist for Neres, or not at the end, actually at the start. He managed to do that assist, but from that moment on, for like the next 70 minutes, um, he looked poor. And then, leading into this game or getting into this game here against Qarabag, he didn't have the best of games, Hoyland, and I think one of the comments addresses that with RT U2 saying everyone can have a bad day. Hoyland had one today. Yeah, Hoyland. The last two games have been so-so. I think, anyways, he puts in a good shift, and when you think that he's not done a good job, but then Luca comes on for him, then you actually think, okay, maybe Hoyland's not that bad. Um, because let me tell you guys, Luca today as well. Like I thought Hoyland wasn't having a good game. Then Luca came on, and he's not even trying to do anything. He's not even actively involved. And I saw him in person for the first time over the weekend, and it's not any better. It's not any better. So look, that was a little bit my thoughts on Hoyland, um, and Milinkovic Savic as well, because it's weird to say, right, to put those two players together, a goalkeeper and striker, but they do find each other a lot. And when one of them is not able to play well, it also kind of affects the performance of the other, right? Hoyland is dependent on good passes from Milinkovic Savic. Milinkovic Savic depends on Hoyland receiving those passes. Otherwise, people start complaining that he's not able to pick out his man. So yeah, that's at least what people in the stadium were moaning and groaning about over the weekend. What I did really like is this three at the back with Di Lorenzo pushed up. So I think it's no coincidence that he got an assist against Atalanta, that he managed to get himself a penalty today. Di Lorenzo definitely thrives when he's relieved of defensive duties. So I think there's a comment that says that we need to move on from Dilo, says Paul de Rican. But then Mercaino1335 says Di Lorenzo has been playing better without Politano, good enough to me. And that's, I think, the two kind of schools of thought, right? Those that just say no more Di Lorenzo. I think in that 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, it's actually more a 3-4-3, apologies. In this 3-4-3 formation, he thrives because he's got someone behind him, like Belkema, to cover him. So that's great. In front of him, he's got Neres, so he doesn't even have to do that full attacking part. He doesn't have to do the full defending part. So he's just playing in a comfort zone where, the final execution is not his responsibility, the defending is not his responsibility, and he's also free to sort of find pockets of space, and he can let the others kind of sort themselves out. So I like Di Lorenzo in this new position. When we made the substitutions today, and he had to go back to the defensive line because Politano was brought on in his place, you could tell that he struggled a bit more. So for me, Di Lorenzo in a 3-4-3, playing as that fourth, let's say, midfielder, I quite like it. And I think Belkema had a very, very solid game, both last weekend and today. Um, Good to see Oliveira today against Qarabag. I was wondering why he didn't feature against Atalanta, because when he plays for Uruguay, he can play as a center back. He's played last year as a third left center back, if in a three-man defense. And I just found it a bit strange that Juan Jesus came on instead of Oliveira against Atalanta on the weekend. So I thought maybe something was up. Um, but then he started tonight. And to some extent, it was forced because it seems like Gutierrez picked up an injury. Spinazzola is still injured. Um, but, Conte could have also put Mazzocchi today against Qarabag, which he did actually against Atalanta. I totally forgot, but he even preferred Mazzocchi over Oliveira with Atalanta. Um, so, had he done that as well today against Qarabag, then it would have definitely been something fishy. And but look, in the end, he got a start today. So hopefully, it can mean that Oliveira can also feature a little bit more in the rotations. I think we need all the depth that we can get. And true, Mazzocchi is not on the Champions League list, so yeah, good spot by ex Brighton 9845. That's true. But what it does mean is that Oliveira is alive. Because he was becoming a little bit of a mystery. Is this guy even alive? We see him a little bit with Uruguay, but you know, um, so so he's there. He's had a solid game. He came close to scoring today. So hopefully he can be a bit more integrated because I like Oliveira when he's not the main um when he's not the main guy that needs to defend, nor when he's the main guy that needs to attack. It's a little bit like Di Lorenzo, when they are relieved of the extreme defensive and offensive duties and they can just slot a little bit more into the midfield. I like them because they've got great quality. And I think in this position, Gutierrez can also play very well, Spinazzola very well. So I'm just happy with what we have there on the left. Um, so yeah. My God, we need Lukaku back, says Lawrence Moore 14. Rasmus and Luke are useless. The thing we spent 80 million on both of them hurts my head. I don't think that they're useless. So for example, Luca, he could be used as a street pole uh, for lighting purposes. He could be used to get water bottles. he could clean up in the dressing room. So I don't think he's fully useless, Luca. You know, there's definitely a few tasks that he could fill. Um, we just gotta find something for him. No, but jokes aside, he really is. I think he's proven it. Rasmus, on the other hand, I disagree. I think he has his moments. He's 22. He's 4 years younger than Luca. Man, at 22, like, I mean, nobody at the age of 22, unless you are, Messi, Hoyland, and all these kind of guys, have the type of numbers that Hoyland has, you know, um, because he has experience, he has quite a lot of goals. Honestly, you can't say anything against Hoyland. Like, you can't say that he's useless at 22 years old. What we can say is that he's had a bad game. We can say that he needs to improve here and there, but to say that he's useless is a bit of a stretch. And I think that he's suffering the fact that he hadn't had a proper summer with us. I mean, he was thrown in to the starting 11 one day after coming in on the second or third game of the season against Fiorentina. So he's still he's still learning from the teammates. He still has to, maybe properly understand his tasks. And I think especially even more so than these things, because actually I see that the link up play is good. There's a physical component to it where he's struggling a little bit physically. He's been out injured a few times with muscle fatigue. So I think he's lacking the Antonio Conte preparation in the summer, even though we saw that maybe too much Antonio Conte training leads to injuries. Now, um, so let's say we've talked about the defenders. Let's go speak a little bit about the midfielders, guys. And we spoke a little bit about the attacker or the striker, a little bit about the midfielders, guys. So I thought Lobotka and Scott did really well in both games. I was a little bit worried seeing the Atalanta game that Scott was playing a little bit too far back for him to really make an impact up the field. But in the end, he got an assist for Neres in that game. Today, playing in a similar formation or the same formation, he managed to grab 1.5 goals, let's say. Um, and and he did some great things in the middle of the park. So McTominay, the best as always. Totally agree here with striking V. Um, yeah, like he's able to boss that midfield quite comfortably. Maybe he didn't do that against Atalanta, but today it was clear. And let me tell you guys, Arne Slot, Liverpool's manager, didn't play Andy Robertson in their weekend game against what was it, Nottingham Forest, because of well, there's rumors that basically Andy Robertson couldn't train properly because he was still hungover from all the celebrations that the Scotland team were doing after their historic win against Denmark in the qualifiers. And I can only imagine McTominay's situation as well. Um, so probably he was still a little bit rusty, to put it in one way, after that. So yeah, I think all things considered, good performance against Atalanta, even better one today. So I totally am not worried at all anymore about the position that Scott's taking. I think he can make it his own as well. And I think he interprets that very well. He did it at Manchester, so no problem there. Lobotka, we know that, he's class and quality. And now let's get to Neres. No, Neres and Noah Lang. So thoughts on Noah Lang and Neres. So look, let's start with Neres, right? Neres was incredible, no? David Neres turning into the new Neymar. Man, that overhead kick that he was so close to scoring, that would have been the goal of the competition so far, for sure. For sure, the goal of the competition. Um, and I mean, these guys must be practicing scorpion kicks and overhead kicks in training, because how do I explain it to people that we've had this chance here, the Mctominay ones? There must be something going on in training, because they're quite good. They're hitting the target. They're not just swinging their foot and hoping for the best. These are these are guys that I think dedicate quite a bit of time to that sort of finish. No, but look, Neres looked super lively in both games. Scored 2 goals against Atalanta. Super lively today. I think he deserved more than what he ended up getting. He probably deserved that goal. He probably deserved an assist or two. So super happy with him. I like the fact that in this 3-4-3 formation, the wingers have a chance, or have a bit more chance, to get closer to the number 10 position. They can be closer to the striker. And this opens up a lot of possibilities for the likes of Neres, no? So he's not limited to just being on the touchline and crossing the ball, but he can actually, run in behind the space, in between the center backs, which is something that he's very, very good at. He's very good at finding that right tempo and that right time. So that's good. It also takes Politano away from the starting 11, which is another positive thing. Not because we hate Politano or anything like that. I mean, we said so many times last year and at the start of this year that Politano is very good when he's in form. He's very good when you need to defend. But there are some games like the one against Qarabag, or there are some moments in a season like now where if he's not at 100%, it's just not worth having him. He needs to be at 100% to be in the starting 11, or you really need to defend in that game. But otherwise, it's much better to just put on someone who's a bit more attacking minded, take a bit more risk. In the end, now on that right hand side, you have both Di Lorenzo and Belkema that could cover for him. So, um, yeah, I think it's overall good. Politano is not the same as last season, a shadow of himself. Yeah, exactly. Um, I think he just needs a bit of a break, needs to maybe not even feature off the bench, because even off the bench, he's a bit of a liability recently. Like today, there were 2 or 3 moments in the game where he messed up some passes that almost felt like those were mistakes due to tiredness, even though he'd only played for 20 minutes. So, yeah, probably he's not even in a condition to even play, let alone start. Di Lorenzo's not washed. I think Di Lorenzo, in that initial formation, did a pretty good job, got an assist against Atalanta, and then he started making mistakes when he moved back to a defensive line. So it's just about finding the right position for Di Lorenzo. Like I said, I think he performs when he's got Belkema behind him and Neres in front. But let's go back to Noah Lang, because someone asked about Noah Lang. I think it was Lawrence Moore asked about Noah Lang. So look, I think first of all, great that he got a goal against Atalanta over the weekend. Because it's always good to get off the score sheet. I think he needs it. I think, you know, even if you have a good game, at some point someone will bring up the statistics of how many games you've gone without scoring or minutes without scoring. So it's good to just reset the slate a little bit. The goal was also, a goal that required being in the right place at the right time. So that's good. Good to show that. But this is not the Noah Lang that I expected. I don't think he's done enough dribbling. I almost expected a little bit of a Kvara type of guy, someone that would really drive at defenders, get inside the box. Instead, what I'm finding from him is that his dribbling is always a little bit sideways. So imagine you have the box, okay? Okay, let's use my phone, okay? This is the box, okay? Or let me go like this. This is the box, all right? And let's say the goal is here, all right? What Noah Lang likes to do is that he likes to dribble like this, okay? On the edge of the box. I would love to see him kind of drive this way, you know? Or diagonally towards goal, a little bit more like what Kvara used to do. Instead, he just kind of does this L, like he hugs the L around the box, but I want to see him drive at defenders inside the box, which is something that Elmas does as well, or really drive towards the goal. So I want to I want to see a little bit more directness. He I think he's getting there. I think I feel like I agree with Lorenz more that Conte um, scared Lang a little bit. He's scared a little bit about losing the ball, and I think that's true. And we spoke about how wingers need to learn how to not lose the ball. There's moments where you can dribble and moments where it's best not to dribble. And maybe he's done this brainwashing to Lang a little bit too much, but I want to see more from Lang. So happy he scored against Atalanta, happy he's getting minutes, but this is not the Noah Lang that we expect. We still need bit more from him. Uncle Sharma, Uncle Sharma, welcome to Club Azzurro. Man, thank you for the support, guys. Big up to Uncle Sharma. Despite some of my out-of-pocket tweets on Inter, which it's part of the game. I have to rage bait a little bit. Sometimes I don't even believe in half the things I say. Um, but I respect, man, Uncle Sharma. I think the quality of the videos of Uncle Sharma has gone up a lot in recent times. I love following him. So guys, if you want to know a bit more about our rivals, make sure you check him out. Um, I actually need to watch his reaction to the Inter Milan game. I'm curious to see his thoughts on that. But yeah, good to have you, man. Good to have you. So Paul the Rican says no, Lang will get there. Eredivisie Serie A has to be a decent tempo adjustment. I mean, yes and no, right? Um, because for example, today you're playing against Qarabag. So you're not playing against the Serie A side. You're also playing in a formation where you have Oliveira and Buongiorno to cover your back in case you lose the ball with this 3-4-3. So really what I expect from a winger, especially in a 3-4-3 formation, is to really take risks. Um, and so yeah, I just want to see a bit more. It's not against the Serie A opposition, even though, guys, a bit of you know a shout out to Qarabag. While they might not be a Serie A side, and they're definitely not, you know, Real Madrid and Arsenal and Man City and whatever you may think are the top teams in Europe. These guys were proper footballers, guys. This is a proper football team, Karabag. They would quite comfortably make the top 10 in Serie A, I think. They had their captain, who was um, quite a skillful player, very, very good on the ball, very cute little one-twos and passes and touches, and they have a really strong goalkeeper. Not only the penalty save on Hoyland, even though Hoyland kicked it exactly where goalkeepers love it, mid height, not too much in the corner. But he pulled off some other great saves, and he was very, very comfortable on the ball. Very comfortable passing the ball out from pressing situations. Look, I mean, if Uncle Sharma's listening still, I think this is someone that Inter, for example, desperately need and could take a look at, because Sommer is just not performing, I think, this season to the level of last season. So, I mean, maybe they could think about a goalkeeper like that. Um, yeah. So, look, Karabakh, not a bad team. There's a reason why they have as many points as us so far in the Champions League. Let's go to some other comments. Nice to see Vergara on the pitch, even though it was only for a few minutes. Could be a start. Yeah, and I like the personality that Vergara has. He tried that outside of the foot pass towards Politano. It didn't didn't end up making it, right? Um, but I like that he tried something a little bit creative, a little bit unique. I think this guy's got so much talent, so much talent, um, and and yeah, hopefully we see more of him. Maybe this Anguissa injury is just the occasion that he needed. It sucks that it comes because someone's injured, but this is someone that I think could really be the future of Napoli's midfield. I've been speaking about Vergara for 4 years now, probably. I fell in love with one of the games that I watched when we did a preseason in Spalletti's first season, and I thought, wow, this kid has something really special, and I'm just waiting for the moment where he's gonna unleash it into the world. I'm sure it's gonna come. That pass, for example, to Politano, had it gone through, would have been something special. You know, almost Lamine Yamal like pass. How he loves that outside of the foot pass. But yeah, Helcom says we're now tied to Barca at 7 points. Could it once again be a Napoli Barca in the playoffs? Hopefully not. So this Champions League is a little bit unpredictable, right? Because you've got a lot of teams stuck on 7 points. Us, Barca, Qarabag. That you think that's super wide range of teams, right? You've got Barca, who I think are one of the top teams out there. Us, that we are, quite good. And then you've got Karabakh, that on paper are one of the weaker teams. But then somehow we're all bunched there. And then below us, you've got, Juventus, you've got Athletic Club, like decent teams. Um, so yeah, I mean, even Villarreal, who have 1 point only in the Champions League, but they're doing super well in La Liga. They're third in La Liga. So it's a strange one. We still have to see if Atletico de Madrid will be able to overtake us. PSV, who thrashed us 6-2, are 2 points behind us. We'll see if they're able to win their game tomorrow. But they play against Liverpool away from home. This Liverpool team is not the same as the one of maybe the start of the season or last year, but it's still Liverpool at Anfield. So we might be in a weird position where we end up a few points ahead of PSV by the end of tomorrow night, and they thrashed us 6-2. So it's a strange, um, super strange competition. Galatasaray lost to Union Saint-Gilloise or whatever their name is from Belgium, and they were having a very good run of 3 wins in a row in the Champions League. So look, super unpredictable. And if, for example, no, if Liverpool don't sort their season out, I think they've lost 6 out of 7 games in the Premier League. Well, 6 of their last 7. If they don't sort something out, and this form carries into the Champions League, they could be dragged back into the bottom half of the table. So it's um it's still all up for grabs. Still all up for grabs. And then you have some surprises like Dortmund and Chelsea, fourth and fifth, that I thought maybe would sit a lot closer to where we would be. So to answer the question, could it be another Napoli Barca in the playoffs? I mean, I hope so at some point that we face Barca, because for me it means it's a very easy game to go watch. But they're a good team, so I'd like to avoid them for now. I'd rather, pick someone else in the round of the playoffs. But then again, it's even hard to know who's gonna make the playoffs. I mean, the top eight, for example, Newcastle now is eighth on 9 points. Um, so it's only 2 points above us. And yeah, you've got still, Real Madrid and Tottenham and all that, and Sporting that still have to play that could go above them. But I think nothing is clear in this Champions League. I think this league format is really good. It's impossible to predict. We're more than halfway through the group stage, and I don't have a clue where we will end up. If we will end up in the top 8, in the top 16, or top 24, or outside. I really have no clue. Could go either way because I've seen all types of results. So yeah, maybe it's a good moment to make a quick poll. Where will Napoli end up? Top 8, 9 to 16. 9 to 16. 17 to 24, or 25 and lower. So I'm gonna start a poll, and I'm gonna keep it open for 3 minutes. So let me know what you guys think, because for me it's super hard to call. Super hard to call. We do need a keeper. What are your thoughts on Caprile? Says Uncle Sharma. I think he's a good keeper. I really don't understand why we didn't push more to have him stay, especially if our intention was to go and splash 20 million or so on what should have been a Meret replacement. Uh, but I think Caprile is so confident in his abilities, and I think he was aiming for the World Cup spot, to be on the World Cup team, and he's somehow managed to get into that group of players now, um, that he didn't want to accept the fact that Napoli were, gonna play this 50-50 between goalkeepers, which is something that instead Milinkovic Savic is happy to do. But Caprile, I think he sees himself as a starter. He's very confident in his abilities. He knows exactly that if he wants to be in the Italian national team, he's got to start games. And so he took a very tough decision, which is to leave his own city, a team that was fighting for the Scudetto, and go play starter somewhere else. And I think it's not a choice I would have made. I would have stayed, won the Scudetto, and then maybe leave this year. Um, if he really felt like he needed to start every single game. But I applaud his confidence in himself and how much he backs himself and how much he wants to play. And I think he's good. I think he's very, very good. Um, the few times that he replaced Meret because of injury, he did very well. Like there were literally no problems. Good shot stopper, good penalty saver, good on the ball. Like really, a huge shame that Napoli couldn't give him the keys, to the goal because he could have sorted this out for the next 10 or so years. But for whatever reason, we wanted to keep Meret in the loop, and it's just not something that Caprile accepted, he didn't want to play any more on the bench. So that's it. He had to go. So yeah, the goalkeeper is playing mad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The goalkeeper was very, very good. Goalkeeper man of the match for sure, and also Scott basically got 1.5 goals. Man, Scott McTominay literally almost murdered somebody, then scored, then murdered somebody's self-confidence by making them score an own goal. I mean, he did everything. Um, but yeah, that was scary, no? The moment where Scott hit the guy, or not Scott hit the guy, but Scott's shot hit the guy in the head, and the guy just collapsed. I thought, wow, this is not looking good. Um, yeah, very happy that the guy's okay. Bit strange that he wanted to continue playing after being knocked out. But yeah, I mean, when else are these guys gonna get the chance, to play at such an important ground? In the end, they've got 8 Champions League games that are guaranteed. 4 of them only are away from home. Maybe 1 or 2 of them in stadiums that are not that impressive. So in the end, this was probably one of the fixtures that they were most excited about, these Qarabag players, and obviously the guy wanted to play more. But I nearly thought Scott killed him. Uh, so very glad that he didn't. But yeah, then he scored, and then he managed to get them to score an own goal. So what can I say? I am surprised as well that they allowed him to keep on playing. I was almost certain that there was a rule that said that for um, serious head injuries, the referee can oblige a player to be substituted off. And I'm surprised that if this is really a rule, and probably you guys in the chat will be able to Google this real quick for me and or let me know if you guys know this already, but I'm surprised, no, that if this rule exists, that it wasn't applied here. I mean, it had all the elements. Like the guy got hit in the head, he got knocked out, he was unconscious for a while. The medical team had to arrive, the ambulance had to arrive, and then to continue playing is strange. So so yeah, but look, Marciniak, the referee, is it's not my favorite, not my favorite guy. He's the same one that didn't call the penalty on Chucky Lozano against Milan a few years ago. So I don't like the guy. I don't like the guy. Right, so let's see how the poll ended. So we got nearly 40 votes, which is good enough for me. And the results are saying that the majority of you guys think that we will end in the top 16. So yeah, probably that's the most realistic scenario. We're 18th now. I would say a few teams will pick up points between, well, tomorrow, like Atletico Madrid, they are on 6 points. Well, actually, they play Inter, so maybe they don't win. PSV play Liverpool, so maybe they don't win. Monaco should be able to pick up points against Paphos. But if any of those two teams wins, whether it's Monaco or Paphos, they would go above Napoli. Atalanta, they're level with us and they play Frankfurt. So, yeah, they could probably win against Frankfurt, even though, we didn't manage to. Frankfurt could beat them and go level with us. Yeah, it's just all up in the air. Um, all up in the air. So so look, it's a very interesting Champions League campaign so far. On our side, our three remaining games in the competition are against Benfica. Then there's like a winter Christmas break where we don't have that many Champions League games for a while. We have to wait about a month and a half after the Benfica game. And even the Benfica game is kind of far from now. It's like in well, no, it's 2 weeks, so not that far. Um, but yeah, it's the Benfica game, then it's a month and a half break, and then we go to Copenhagen. Not easy, not easy. Um, Not because they're a good team, but because of the weather in January there. And then we host Chelsea, and Chelsea, hopefully they would have already qualified for the top 8. So the fact that Chelsea is doing so well, that's probably a positive for us. And what we should hope for is that they win their next two games, so that they feel a bit more confident about being in the top 8. Hopefully it would be mathematical for them, and then they can sort of rest some players when they play against us, and we can take advantage of that. So yeah, I would love to see 40 people hit the like button, guys. I don't know how many of you guys have done that. I'm not keeping track. But yeah, would love that also because I am doing this live feeling very ill, very, very ill. This could be um, something that a doctor would not recommend me to do, but I am putting my life on the line for you guys. So I would say that a like is the least that you guys can do. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna end it there. It's late. I gotta rest. So we will see each other. What's the next game? Against Roma. Well, yeah. The Roma game, guys, I you see I planned a little trip on that weekend. So, unfortunately, my flight is on exactly the same time as the Roma Napoli game. So I'll have to watch that game as soon as I land. But it probably means I won't be able to make a live that night on Sunday night. So what I'll try to do is maybe wake up earlier on Monday morning and record a video and release it before I go to work. That's probably the best I can do, the best case scenario. Um, so yeah. Why is Dom starting to look like Kvara now? Well, a lot of people were saying that I looked like Kvara. Um, well, now not so much, right? Because he's not playing for Napoli anymore. But when I went to Naples, well, I go back quite a lot, right? Because my family's there and everything. I go maybe like 6 times a year or something like that. But when I go back, one time I was just walking, like walking home from the supermarket, whatever. I think I was wearing this, and like tracksuit pants, and a guy I'm walking, he's walking, and then he stops, like looks back, and he's like, "Man, I thought you were Kavada." And I was like, "No." You wish, man. You wish you met Kvara. Instead, you're stuck with Napoli talk. But yeah, my God, man, Berezinski. Berezinski. I haven't heard that name in such a long time. And these Polish players have crazy, crazy names, man. But yeah, maybe a little bit Berezinski. I can see it. I can see it. Yeah, I'm just looking at him now. And it's crazy, no, that he played for Napoli. Such a random, such a random person, these people that just appear in a team for a few months, then go away. Um, but yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Um, it's been a pleasure. I will speak to you guys soon. And as always, guys, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.